Right, let's see if this mystery game works here. I'll just stick in a quarter. Remember that thing I was talking about earlier where you basically had Sega have their Chihiro board? Well, at the same time, they also had another arcade board that they had partnered with another company with, or two. And ironically, it turned out it basically created some really interesting byproducts. And of course, by interesting byproducts, I mean, hey, we got a Mario game on a Sega system. This one in particular. Mario. Which is Mario Kart Arcade GP, although this is the second revision. So, if you'll recall, the Triforce arcade hardware, which was basically a cross-combination of Namco, Nintendo, and Sega, basically made arcade hardware that was running on, like, souped-up GameCube, basically souped-up GameCube, and, like, Sega Namco added on some of their own additions. Which is probably make you ask, like, well, why aren't you playing something like, you know, F-Zero GX or something like that? Well, let me put it to you this way. Listen to this. Just wait.
Here we are live from Yoshi Park Course 1. This special course passes players through the attractions of Yoshi Park. This broadcast is brought to you by Justin Berti.
This asshole right here is part of why I wanted to play this game today. But yeah, I've been trying to do like research for what I can on this game, and apparently this is running on Sega's version of the Triforce. There's 3 different versions, but it's only there's only like 2 different companies that actually worked on the Triforce hardware. Which was just Sega and Namco. So this is basically a combination of Sega's hardware and some of Namco's stuff running this game right here. So there's like 2 different versions of like, you know, like the proprietary software or hardware that can be used to run the software. Whoops. One of them being since what Sega would do is they would actually graft on like hardware from like some of their other arcade, you know, arcade boards and stuff like that, like the Chihiro, which basically use like, you know, certain games use like GD-ROMs to run the games, much like GD-ROMs, the same technology used for like Sega Dreamcast and Naomi hardware. But the whole point was to make it easier for them to convert games from arcade to the GameCube if they wanted to make home versions. Despite the fact this never really had a home version to begin with. But it did have games like F-Zero GX and F-Zero AX. And then Namco had like their own Star Fox game that they were working on for arcades. As well as for home consoles, which is basically Star Fox Assault. But we never really saw them. At least we never saw the arcade Star Fox game. And we just had like a kind of half-baked Star Fox game for arcades. So what I kind of discovered is, you know, this is using a cartridge format that Namco would use for their hardware, but apparently some of the other hardware for like extra RAM and stuff like that was done on Sega's end. And of course, when I mean Sega, I actually mean like Amusement Vision, who worked on like F-Zero. Because at the same time, Sega had a larger focus on their Chihiro board, which was basically their Xbox equivalent. So yeah, I'm using my American sensibility. Let me just get a quarter in here. Yes, a quarter. Despite the fact that I'm actually kind of running this on not a Triforce. This is actually running on a Dolphin emulator, which is specialized to run Triforce games. But Triforce emulation is still kind of spotty at this point. Mostly because It is basically running a GameCube at this point, but it's kind of hacked to heck and back.
Yoshi Park Course 2.
Oh, listen to this.
Long straights give rise to high-speed item battles. The most talented driver is Mario! What thrilling techniques will we see?
Alright, so this game right here... this is probably like the only time that that Sega Channel Retro will actually actively cover a Mario game outside of the Mario and Sonic games. But to me, this always felt like it was a Ridge Racer game, kind of disguised lightly as a Mario Kart game. And obviously, it's not using a Ridge Racer engine or anything like that, but the drift mechanics are pretty similar. So when you drift in this game, it actually acts as a shield. So attacks like this don't hit you. So just like that, you can home in on enemies with your reticle if you have an item type like that, and that causes them to get hit like that. You also get items that you can drop behind you, or like, oh my gosh, like personal effect items like super mushrooms and things like that.
Mario now completely in the lead. Others are trying to catch up.
This also has like its own proprietary like Mario Kart feature where you can save your progress. Pretty similar to how the F-Zero AX machine lets you save your progress if you have a little magnetic card you can print out from an F-Zero machine. When they made the American version of the first Mario Kart arcade game, they removed the card functionality for international audiences. Oh no! With Mario Kart Arcade GP2, though, they actually added in the card functionality back in. Unfortunately, it's impossible to actually make use of it because there's not really any arcade operators that would make use of it. That's kind of unfortunate because you basically miss out on like half the content of this game. And part of the content is the fact that you have like hundreds of items that you can like basically collect, and then you can equip whichever items you want to make use of in a race before it starts. I'm actually going to lose this race because I want to try a different level.
The winner is Bowser. Mario gets past in the final moments.
So if you go to like an American arcade, like Dave & Buster's is like one of the main places you can find Mario Kart machines at. You're not going to be able to make use of the card functionality. But yeah, like I said earlier, this is basically running on a PC, so it's kind of running a little janky. But again, I think what the team who did the Dolphin, the Triforce edition of Dolphin, they basically made it to where it's tricking it to be a GameCube, which means it's working with the same RAM limitations, so some of these menus are loading in a little incorrectly. And of course, Dolphin still has a few small issues with GameCube sound drivers. Let's try Wario Cup. Let's kind of ramp up the difficulty a little bit. It makes it, the drift mechanic makes it a little harder to take these turns, because it's not like a traditional Mario Kart game. You're not going to get any boosts out of these turns. But if you if you turn too sharply, you're going to like lose a lot of speed. If you turn too late, you're going to crash into a wall. It gets really tricky.
Long straights into hairpin curves define.
And since you can actually block your shots, and of course everybody's favorite nemesis, the blue shell, is not a factor in this game. Although supposedly it is in the new Mario Kart arcade game. There's a third one that came out, but it doesn't run on Sega hardware, so we're never going to see it on this stream.
Bob has blown the tires.
So there's a lot of, like, interesting, like, technical aspects to this game. But I think it's kind of mirrored by the fact there is still some rubber banding going on. And sometimes the game deliberately has it to where, like, one computer player will just pull ahead. And, like, it just makes it just pretty much impossible to catch up. And then when you play multiplayer against, like, 2 to 4 other people, the game does everything it can to make sure, like, each player can keep up with the action and no one's left behind. In fact, there's actually a function in, like, this, and I think the newer Mario Kart game, where if you don't have your foot on the accelerator, the game moves for you. Basically designed so that kids can play the game if they can't reach the pedals. And since I'm running this on an emulator, like, there's some, like, control things that don't work quite right. So, like, say if there's something that's supposed to, like, automatically make you turn, it's not going to work because I'm using a joystick to turn. There we go.
Toad, how quick? A solitary journey. The race is at the halfway mark. Toad, leave everyone behind.
Yeah, in terms of, like, games that Sega actually produced for the Triforce hardware, besides F-Zero, there's, like, Virtua Striker, and that's kind of it. Sega was more busy with their Chihiro board, with, like, House of Dead 3 and Outrun 2, and things like that. And then shortly after that, I think that's when, they started looking into, like, their ring-wide arcade hardware, and that's what runs, like, Sega All-Stars Racing Arcade.
Now into the final corner.
Oh boy. There we go.
Item shot. The winner is Toad. Outstanding run.
Wow, it sounds like there's a thunderstorm going on outside. I wanted to try and play this game earlier so that my neighbors aren't, like, shooting off fireworks and sounding off into the mic. But it seems like I have another factor to worry about now.
Here we are live from Snow Panic. A broken snowblower has covered the course in snow. The most talented driver is Toad. What thrilling techniques will we see?
You can kind of tell that the translation effort behind this game was kind of poor, because our announcer friend here is pretty stiff in what he says, and it doesn't help that his English is actually not that great either. But since, you know, you're going to be at a loud arcade venue anyway, you're probably not going to care.
How thrilling! Pac-Man, Toad, I can't believe the move this card has made. Toad,
there we go.
Shot an item. Bullseye. Wow! 3 drivers are currently deadlocked. Hot and exciting.
Hot and exciting.
Toad, points in one stretch. Toad, beautiful cornering.
Funny enough, if your arcade actually has a card unit installed, you can actually turn this guy off. But I don't want to turn this guy off here because he's half the fun. Well, he's not the All-Stars Racing announcer by any stretch, but at least I don't know if they really tried, honestly, actually. Rubbing is racing. It's great dialogue. Oh yeah, I apologize if there's, like, any weird, like, sound errors that are going on. Again. Because, man, the music just got a lot louder for some reason. Ah. Yeah, one of the reasons why I wanted to play this game is, you know, like I was saying earlier, it's, you never know of, like, some of the partnerships that Sega makes, because there's, like, so much stuff that, like, you know, sites like SegaBits could be reporting on, like, talking about, like, some small restaurants that, like, Sega's made based on, like, Soccer Wars and things like that. And then there's, like, other things that, you know, Sega would be doing that has nothing to do with video games whatsoever. But then there's, like, a lot of people out there that kind of feel like a lot of these businesses do nothing but make video games, and that's it. And I actually meant to lose that track, because now we're stuck playing more of this world. You can pick a different cup if you lose one of these races. Although one thing that is, I kind of noticed is that it's pretty ridiculous, like, just how much these guys expect you to spend on this game. Since the card function isn't in most American or European arcade editions of this game, you know, if you want to, like, unlock all the stuff, at least all the races, you have to spend the equivalent of, like, $53. And that's if the game doesn't, like, do any weird rubber banding on you or anything like that. That's a lot of money. And, of course, if you quit the game, then you lose all that progress you made of completing these courses. And then there's, like, the rank system, where it basically changes, like, your status of, like, how good of a racer you are. And once that goes away, oh gosh. Since, you know, you don't have a card system, there's not really any point to it whatsoever, so you don't even need to, like, update it or anything like that. So it kind of works for casual play, but if you want to, like, make any progress in this game, be prepared to, like, waste a lot of time and spend a lot of money. There we go. Whoop. In case you're wondering, like, how to do, like, the drift mechanic and whatnot, you have to hit, like, the brake pedal while holding onto acceleration. If you just, like, straight hold onto the brake button while you're drifting, you come to a complete stop, which you kind of want to do sometimes, but not all the time. But then, you know, being able to hop over, like, certain obstacles is pretty important to progressing through the race course. And the game actually makes note of, like, the different shortcuts that you take. Ah. I don't think I'm gonna win this one, because you'll see on the map that one, like, the person in first place is literally, like, all the way up front. You can get the rubber banding to work in your favor if, like, you just kind of mess around. Like, you can literally just drive backwards and wait for the computer to, like, finish a lap. And then, like, when they get onto the next lap, they'll basically go slow enough to where you can catch up. And sometimes they literally just stop in place. Although that may change depending on what the difficulty modifier is set to in the settings. And again, weird translation issues, I feel, that kind of creep up on me, or that kind of bother me, are, like, these rankings Like, there's no space between these two words. Like, it's pretty obvious that it was supposed to be designed for, like, a Japanese language. So yeah, despite the fact that, you know, like, the international translation was kind of rushed, it's still pretty amusing that this game exists. But in any case, I think that's going to do it for our Independence Day stream, since I got to express my freedom with this game, and then we played a couple of pretty great Xbox games produced by Sega. But yeah, that's I believe that'll do it. Thanks for tuning in of this Independence Day stream. And of course, happy 4th of July, America. And even if you don't celebrate this kind of holiday, you know, at least, hopefully, you know, wherever you're watching this, you know, you do have, like, some sort of freedom that you get to celebrate with others, which may not be true for all places, but, you know, this is, you know, something that, you know, hopefully the world can, you know, achieve, like, sometime down the line in the future. But until then, you know, hopefully everybody can, you know, strive for, you know, a better future is what I'm trying to get at. But yeah, again, thanks for watching. This is Sega Channel Retro, and we'll see you next time.